Hi, I'm Sandy Allnock here for Ellen Hudson with another watercolor tip. Today we're going to talk about scumbling, which is my Bob Ross technique. I have been told that I'm the Bob Ross of modernity, but I love to make scenes with trees and natural things behind them, and scumbling is one of the techniques that makes that happen. And I want to show you that. Here I'm using a number 2 brush because I have really small images to work with, but you can use larger brushes if you're using larger images and you want larger patterns. But this little French hen has feathers on him that are turning into feathers because I'm dancing the brush across the surface. Basically just scribbling, and it doesn't take a lot of talent to scribble. Anybody can do that. So I'm also going to scribble on the ground. I had this pre-watercolored with a base color, so I'm just going over with a glaze of another color. My pencil line was there and I realized I should probably cover that up. So as I'm working on this, I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Just a little aside for you. Once you have watercolor over something, you usually can't erase that pencil line. So you want to do that before you start painting. Don't ask me how I know, I just proved it to you, right? So the pencil line is not disappearing. So I had a plan in mind that I will enact in just a moment for you. But I'm dancing the brush with this lighter color over the ground just to make it look like rocks and dirt. It's a very simple way to finish off an image and give a stamped image somewhere to stand and a little place to stand. So card makers, take note. It's a great way to make it look like you know what you're doing and just add a little scumbling to the ground. And with this darker color that I'm adding, you really can't see that pencil line anymore. Yay! I did the same thing over here. I watercolored that washy background. And the colors that are behind these, as I'm doing this, those are very dry. If you do your scumbling over top of wet paint, it's basically dropping wet paint into wet paint. And it's going to soften out and be very blurry. If you want hard edges like this, then you want to do it over dry paint. So I'm just kind of dancing around, making a couple areas that are more scribbly and a few areas that are more linear, because a Christmas tree, which is what this one will be, is a little pine tree, it's going to have some of those little pine needles. The little pine boughs can be linear, so scumbling can be linear as well as scribbly. It's just a matter of dancing the brush to make some sort of texture or pattern. And you can see I'm just kind of playing around with what that tree might look like around this Christmas ornament. You can also do this with summer and spring images, any of your flowers that might need a background behind them. Just do a little bit of grasses and weeds and leaves and things behind them by doing some scumbling with, some sort of a really natural looking green color. You can even go in with a darker color and do a second layer, basically glazing scumbling. So you can use a second green on top to add some depth. And here's another way to do some linear scumbling, and this is going to be almost a circular pattern because when you have ripples in water, it goes around and around the swan. So there's a few of those lines that are drawn here on the stamp. So I'm going to go around those just to get it started and make them very loose around there. I'm not being super tight with it. And then I'm going to take the same paint and I'm just going to go around and continue all the way around the edges and make some sort of scumbly little lines. You want some of them to be very thin, and as they radiate out from something like this, you want them to get thinner and lighter and lighter and thinner. You don't want chunky edges to this kind of scumbling, so you want each stroke to end as it fans out in a very thin stroke. So you'll just lift up your brush as you get to that end, or you can hold it more vertically in order to get a thinner stroke. And like I said, this is a number 2 brush. And these are very tiny stamps. So the number 2 brush is able to give me a very small line that matches the scale of the stamping that I've done. But you can see how well this will create water. You could do this on a lake or on an ocean with any kind of painting that you're doing, any kind of background, and give a really nice watery effect. I'll just get lighter and fainter as it fans out from whatever's causing those ripples. Sometimes those ripples will just be horizontal. All right, so here is the pinnable graphic for this week over on the Ellen Hudson blog. The link is in the description. And I hope you are continuing to make your 2x2 swatches so you can refer to them and remember what we've learned here. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you again next week. Take care. Bye-bye.